Hi, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Robin Willis with eXp Realty.
And I'm Rick Hendricks with Primary Residential Mortgage.
So this is the 5th video in our series, and so far we've covered a few interesting topics.
Yeah, we've covered the buy versus rent. We've covered the real estate report card. We've covered the cost of waiting. We've covered the investment opportunities that can exist for individuals out there.
That was my favorite one so
Yes,
far.
that's a really good one. There's a great opportunity out here for investors. And today we're going to cover appreciation.
All right.
So we can go ahead and go right into the appreciation page. I'm going to put on my glasses so I can make sure I'm giving you the information
I love
correctly.
how nerdy you look with those
Thank you
glasses
very
on.
much. Do you like the shininess of my forehead too?
That's very fabulous.
Yeah. Okay, so some parameters I want to set is we're still using the median price range of $231,710. In this particular example, we're going with an FHA 3.5% down. Obviously, those figures will change if you put more down. We're doing a closing cost example of $3,800, and we're going to review 15 years. So there's two areas that we're looking at here. We're going to look at the projected rates of appreciation and the historical rates of appreciation. The purple is historic. They're greater values, so I'm not going to use those values. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. I'm going to show just the projected.
And when you're talking about appreciation, you're talking about the value increase that the house experiences over time.
That is correct. So if you look at your starting point here, we start at the same point of that median income, that median housing price. But what I want to do is I want to touch on, okay, let's say that as an investor, you have a child in college that we talked about last video. You hold onto the property for 4 years. That $231,000 on the projected basis now becomes $262,000, almost $263,000. So that's not a bad growth in a 4-year period. If you look at the 7-year appreciation, now you're talking around $302,000 almost. And then if you hold on to it for 15 years, $391,000. So looks pretty good. So what does that mean cumulative? In other words, you put closing costs down. So in the first year, you're net negative. But after 4 years, you would be in the net positive by about 27.5. Wow. Okay. By 7 years, you would be in the net positive of about 66. And again, this is based on the projected rates. And on the 15th year, your net positive would be, well, almost $160,000.
That's really awesome. And I noticed that there are two colors of bars on this. The one that you're including is the actual projected,
right.
But the other one seems to be what has historically been the increase of an appreciation. So it's possible it could be an even better outlook.
That is correct. It is very possible. Now, I like to think of a house as an investment, much like a 401k. And how we measure our 401ks or IRAs or whatever investment tools we use is what is our rate of return. And so what we want to look at is what is the cumulative total rate of return of that $3,500 investment, or I'm sorry, that 3.5% down payment that we've made on this house. Again, I'm going to start with a 4-year. Your cumulative return, 333%. Is that 333? No, that's 338.
You need to get better glasses.
I guess I do. It's time to get re-examined. All right. Now we look at the 7-year return, and the cumulative return there is 818%.
Isn't that amazing?
I've never seen it in the stock market like that.
Yeah.
And then if you go all the way out to 15 years, and again, this is on the projected, you're looking at a cumulative return that's almost 2,000% on a 3.5% down payment.
I'm in for that.
So, real estate is a great way to build wealth, not only as an investor, but as an individual, as you're living in a house, but you're building wealth in a house as well. And I think, we need to be thinking in those types of, processes of, how can I use my house to help me build wealth? Because, as well as I do, when you hit retirement, you can use that as reverse mortgage and have it be paying you back.
Right. So. Right. And, obviously when people usually come to buy a house, they're looking at a place to live for themselves or their families. But it is always good to know that just by doing those normal things that you would do, you're building a pretty solid basis for yourself financially.
True. You know, a lot of questions I'm sure you get all the time is what happens if there's a recession?
Oh.
So it scares
It's
it scares
scary.
people, especially after the housing bubble. So our next episode is going to be focused on what do recessions do to the real estate market,
Mhm.
and we're going to focus in on that.
Yeah, it's true that people do ask that, and they do get worried about it, and rightly so. We've gone through a lot of pain a few years ago,
Yes.
and it was terrible for a lot of normal, hardworking families. So, looking forward to hearing you try to make us feel better about that.
Well, I'm sure that we'll just give you the facts, and then you can make your own conclusions from the facts that are presented.
Yep. Perfect. See you then.
See you next time.